The Aave Ethereum exploit just happened. Here's what you need to know. Because if you're using Aave right now, especially on Ethereum, this situation is serious, and I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to make you understand what actually is going on and what you should be doing about it. So yesterday, reports started coming out about an issue affecting Aave on the Ethereum network. Almost immediately, users started noticing something was off. Yours truly among them. Assets frozen, borrowing issues, and abnormal behavior on the platform. Now, let me break this down in plain English. This was not your typical market crash or liquidations happening because price dropped. This was a protocol level issue, meaning something inside Aave itself wasn't functioning the way that it should. And whenever that happens in DeFi, that's where real risk comes in. Now, before you panic, because I know some of you already are, let's get one thing crystal clear. At the time of this video, Aave has already started responding. They've paused certain functions, restricted activity, and are actively investigating the situation. That's actually a good sign because in DeFi, when a protocol reacts quickly, it can prevent a bad situation from turning into a catastrophic one. I mean, I've seen it done a million times, and it's going to happen a million more. But luckily, this was not one of those times, gentlemen. But here's the part that you really need to understand. When something like this happens, your position matters more than the headline. Let me say that again. Your position matters more than the news. If you are heavily leveraged, if you're borrowing against your Ethereum, if your health factor is tight, you, my friend, are exposed. And I don't care how confident you are in Ethereum long term. If something breaks short term, leverage will eat your ass alive. Now let's talk about what likely happened. Now, without getting overly technical, these types of situations usually come down to one of three things: a smart contract vulnerability, an Oracle pricing issue, or a liquidity imbalance inside of protocol. Now, all three of those can lead to the same result: functions being frozen or restricted to protect the system. So when you saw things like Ethereum frozen or can't borrow, that wasn't random. That was Aave stepping in to stop potential damage from spreading. So be thankful. As a matter of fact, I just received some brand new breaking information about this subject that I'm going to share with all of you. And it is going to crack everything wide open so you will know pretty much everything that's going on here in a couple of minutes. Now, before I do so, if you receive any value from anything that I'm sharing with you in this video, show your appreciation as well as your support by making a contribution of any stable coin, Ethereum, Solana, anything to our MetaMask address, which is in the description of this video. What it does, it helps us to continue to create life-saving content for investors like you. I mean, I don't do this for nothing. I'm doing this to help you save money. And I truly believe that this video is going to help save at least 100 people minimum from losing everything that they own over the next month alone. Let's put it to the test. Oh, and one other thing, make sure you hit the like button. And you need to know that I have read 15 plus articles on the situation in the last few hours. Now, what I'm going to share with you, is the most informative information and original that I've received on the subject. As you can see here, it's about the exploit, and it was written by Nick Sinoy yesterday. Sorry, Nick, if I'm hitting your name up wrong, but I'm giving you props right here, buddy. At 17:35 UTC on Saturday, April 18th, 2026, someone minted 116,500 RS Ethereum on Ethereum mainnet that had no backing behind it. That's roughly 18% of KEP-DAO's entire circulating supply, worth about 292 million. At the time, the forged Layer Zero packet cleared. Now, within minutes, it was sitting as collateral on Aave, borrowing wrapped Ethereum against itself. Within an hour, it had produced the largest single DeFi extraction of 2026. So far, of course. Now, this piece was written in the evening after the drain. KEP-DAO and Layer Zero have both promised post-mortems, final numbers on bad debt, compensation, and any supply migration will shift over the coming days. Treat the specific figures below as the best on-chain and analyst estimates available as of today, April the 19th. The restaking contracts didn't fail. The engine layer delegations are still intact. Mainnet RS Ethereum is still backed by the legitimate user deposits sitting in KEP-DAO's node delegators. The core product was fine. What broke was the bridge, a Layer 0 OFT adapter running on a one-of-one validator stack, which let a single forged signature instruct the adapter's mainnet escrow to release tokens that shouldn't have moved. Everything downstream is composability fallout. Good word. Good word. Now here's what happened, what broke, and who actually pays. What KEP-DAO is and why the bridge mattered. KEP-DAO is one of the largest liquid restaking token LRT protocols built on Eigen layer. Users deposit Ethereum or a whitelisted LST. The protocol delegates to a set of Eigen layer operators, and users receive RS Ethereum, a token representing a claim on their restake position, plus accrued yield. Now, by April, they had crossed over $1 billion in total value loaned and was integrated as collateral across most of the major lending markets and yield venues in DeFi. So not just Aave, but most of it. Now it lives naturally on Ethereum while the restaking contracts sit, but its utility depends on being everywhere. Arbitrum, Base, Manual, Unichain, Linea, and roughly a dozen other layer 2s and side chains. KEP-DAO uses a Layer 0 OFT, which stands for Omni-Chain Fungible Token, adaptable to move RS Ethereum across chains. The adapter is the bridge. When RS Ethereum leaves Ethereum, it's locked in an escrow contract on mainnet, and a matching amount is minted on the destination chain. Now, when the cross-chain message comes back, the escrow, it releases. That escrow releases what got spoofed. We've all heard the term spoof before, yes? This is one hell of a fucking spoof, right? Woo! Now the attack, a single forged is receive call. The entire drain happened in one single transaction. Look at this, roughly $292 million. The forgery worked because the adapter security stack was configured to accept the extenuation of a single verifier. Layer Zero's OAuth configuration model lets the application developer choose how many DVNs Decentralized verifier networks must sign off on an incoming message before it's delivered, plus all optional verifiers. Look at this. And then right down here, one forged signature was enough to make any cross chain message look real. Just one. An entirely legitimate transaction had settled through the exact same DVN 2 days earlier. So this wasn't a dormant testnet artifact, it was the live production setup. On-chain analyst was the first to post the OAP config publicly. Roughly 3 hours after the drain, a follow-up reply from researcher at Branch M in the same thread clarifies something important. The compromise wasn't Unichain specific. The DVN contract and its signing key sit on Ethereum, so the attacker could have spoofed any source chain the adapter trusted. Changing the source EID from Unichain to Arbitrum would have produced the same outcome. Now let's go deeper. Layer Zero's protocol wasn't broken. The configuration kept dial and whoever advised them deployed was. A multi-chain DVN stack, typically 2 or 3 of the 3 or 5 in production deployments handling significant value, would have required the attacker to compromise multiple independent verifier networks simultaneously. They only had to compromise one. The cash out, unbacked collateral meets a ready lending market. This gets deeper. Look, the attacker didn't try to sell the 116,000 wrapped Ethereum into liquidity. That would have crashed the price inside the first block and capped the extraction at whatever they could absorb. Now, look, they used the tokens as collateral, according to on-chain accounting compiled by Chaos Labs and cross-checked against the adapter events. Look, on Aave versions 3 and 4 Ethereum, the attacker supplied the Ethereum and borrowed 583 wrapped Ethereum. 52,000 wrapped Ethereum. God. On Aave versions 3 and 4 Arbitrum, they bridged a portion of the stolen supply and borrowed 29,782 wrapped Ethereum plus 820 more. God. The total extracted value sits in the $200 to $236 million range, depending on exact execution prices and the mark. That's the money that actually left the attacker's address as borrowed liquidity. Now, a portion of the borrowed funds was then routed through Tornado Cash. Zach XBT flagged the first mixer-bound hops within 20 minutes of the drain, while the rest sits in wallets. On-chain sleuths are actively tracking. So you got guys tracking these wallets. Now, KepDAO's operations multi-sig pause the contracts on Ethereum. Let's go deeper. And every layer 2 where the adapter was deployed within 46 minutes of the initial mint. So 46 minutes after the initial mint, everything was shut down. That pause stopped any follow-up forgery and prevented the attacker from minting a second tranche. It didn't and couldn't reverse the positions already opened on third-party lenders. So that's good, right? Reading comprehension is very important, gentlemen. The blast radius. Who actually got hit? The exploit was tightly contained at the smart contract layer. Core agent layer pools, RS Ethereum's underlying backing, and Layer Zero's non-kelp traffic were untouched. But RS Ethereum had been so thoroughly composed into DeFi that the forest pause rippled outward immediately. Now look, Aave took the brunt. It was an accepted collateral asset across versions 3 and 4 instances on both Ethereum and Arbitrum. Within hours, Aave's risk team froze every RS Ethereum market and pushed a public message urging the suppliers to pull their liquidity. Look, Now, Mark Zeller and Chaos Labs both confirmed the exploit itself didn't touch any Aave contracts. The risk is purely that the collateral backing the attackers, 200 million in borrows, is now known to be worthless. The Aave governance token traded off roughly 10% in the hours after the news broke, reflecting market uncertainty about how much of the deficient of the deficit, I should say, lands on token holders versus umbrella stakers. Sparkling, Fluid, and Upshift, they all froze or paused those positions on the same timeline. All right, so this was like instantaneous. Boom, 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 boom. You stop, you stop, you stop. They all stopped. Let's go down deeper. The knock-on damage runs deepest on the roughly 20 layers and side chains. Look at this. Yield venues and structured products cut exposure the moment news hit X. So the minute this was put out on X, it's how powerful social media can be as a tool. Now look at this. The damage runs deepest on the roughly 20 layers and side chains of where the RS Ethereum was bridged, because the minute supply on Ethereum is now partially unbacked. Every wrap derivative downstream is structurally impaired. Holders of RS Ethereum on Arbitron and all these other bridge chains are sitting on tokens that can no longer be confidently redeemed against a one-to-one claim on Ethereum escrow. Withdrawals are paused. Liquidity has evacuated DEX pools, and any lending market on those chains that accepted that Ethereum as collateral is running into the same bad debt math. Aave is running into the main net, just at a smaller scale. Now look, I'm going to keep going down here. There is no systemic restaking contagion here. The failure is specific to one adapter, one DVN, and one trust model. Okay, we already said that. And then we're going to go deeper here. The 177 million that Aave has to cover. The Aave bad debt number being quoted by every serious on-chain analyst is roughly that, sitting in the wrapped Ethereum reserves across versions 3 and 4 on Ethereum and Arbitrum. The range from different sources runs 177 to 196, depending on exactly how the partial liquidations are marked. But 177 is the median figure from Chaos Labs real-time reporting. That deficit is what Aave's Umbrella module exists for, actually. Now, Umbrella is the on-chain risk backup that replaced the old safety module the middle of last year. The old safety module required a governance vote to slash stakers, which meant that in practice, it had never actually been slashed. It was a theoretical insurance fund. Umbrella is different by design, okay? Per asset isolation, when you stake an Umbrella, you stake in a specific asset vault on a specific network. Again, look, specific asset vault. If you're in the wrapped Ethereum umbrella on Ethereum, you cover those deficits on that instance and nothing else. USDC stakers, GHO stakers, and Arbitrum vaults are untouched. Let's keep going. I know this is a lot, but this is important so you understand what's going on. And also remember, I've got 3 points to share with all of you when I'm finished with this. We're almost done. And then look right here. That's just the technical showing. All again, one person. All one fucking piece of shit. Now let's keep going. Still technical, but the 20-day cooldown, you can't exit the vault instantly. Minimum assets floor. I'm going to link this in the description so all of you can go back and read all of this. I just wanted to give you the heart of what's going on. But look here. Heading into the weekend, that's what its value was. Now, if the deficit is recorded in full and split across those two vaults in proportion to their respective borrows, the stash ratio lands somewhere in the 60 to 70% range of the affected vaults. Stakers in the hit vaults lose roughly 2/3 of their position overnight. Are you fucking kidding me? Can you imagine being wiped out? Everything that you earn overnight automatically with no vote. Wow, that's fucked up. The remaining third keeps earning the emissions and wrapped Ethereum yield. That was always the reason they were in the vault to begin with. Ding, ding, ding. That's why any of us do business or have a job or anything. The Dow's 100K deficit is effectively a rounding error against 177 million. Of course, it's nothing. It's nothing. Now, look, I want to show you something else. We're almost done again. The hierarchy of pain. Strip away the dashboards, and there's a clear ranking of who actually absorbs the loss. Number one, Aave Umbrella wrapped Ethereum stakers on Ethereum and Arbitrum. They signed up to be the first loss backstop in exchange for extra yield on top of the wrapped Ethereum supply rate. Okay, no risk, no reward. That trade-off is now live. Loss is immediate, pro rata, and confirmed to each specific network. They're not playing about this. I mean, this is all written out. Smart contracts. We've been talking about them for years now. The uncomfortable questions. Why was a billion-dollar protocol running on a 101 DVN? That is the million-dollar question. Actually, the multi-billion-dollar question. Look at this. Their own security model gives applications full control over their verifier stack precisely so they can match it to the value they're securing and multi-DVN setups. Look, somebody at KelpDAO at an advising firm or an integrator signed off on a single DVN production configuration for a token that had grown to over $1 billion. One person did all this. Don't forget that. Just one. Now, getting back to the three things I said you must do. First of all, number one, check your health factor. Number two, have a buffer. And number three, do not overreact. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how each one of these three play out in real life. And the example that I'm going to use is going to be myself. Okay? So pay attention. Now, here we go. As a matter of fact, let me pull this up. Now, this is me. This is my account. A recent wallet I opened in the last month. Look up top left-hand corner. You can see core instance. You can see net worth, health factor, blah, blah, blah. All right. And then underneath there, you can see my supplies. Let me just show you. Net worth right there, top left-hand corner. It's not an exact amount. But then health factor. This is very important. You see how it's green like that? You want it to always be green. Always. Now, look underneath there, the balance. Okay. And then next to that, across from that, I should say collateral. Underneath that, you can see ETH. See the balance on that. Excuse me. Now again, the vast majority of this is mine. I took out a very tiny loan Friday night, Saturday morning on this particular bag. This is not all I own. This is not most of it. This is a new bag that I started accumulating in March. It just shows you what you can do in 6 weeks, right? Now I'm showing you all the assets that you can supply and borrow against. As you can see, you can't do anything right now. All this is... Now, what struck me was that I was actually on the platform right as this happened. And I had just finished doing something like maybe an hour prior to, which was just insane to me, but it's life, right? You can see top right hand side, borrow power, 100%, which is incorrect. I could borrow much, much more than that if I chose to. But on this bag at this time, I'm not going to. Remember what I said, be smart. Now look down here, supply. Let me show you something. You see that USDC? You see that balance? That is my buffer. Okay, so if something were to go wrong and it would go down to say 2, I would just throw that in as collateral. And actually, it was 4. I spent like $20 on gas because it was during the peak time yesterday. Anyway, I would generally just add like another 300 or 400 buffer to that, and then I'm set. I don't have to worry about it. You see there? Like, this is how you protect your assets and keep from getting wiped out, to keep from losing everything that you've worked so hard over so many months and years to lose in an instant. Look at that health factor. It went down just a little bit. But even like 280, let me show you. You can see liquidation risk parameters, health factor, 3, liquidation 1. So if you go under 1, even for 2 minutes, everything's gone. That's why you must have a buffer. That's why you don't borrow everything. Just borrow what you need to win and protect yourself. Look at this. Current LTV, under 30%. Are you kidding me? But that's I've been doing this for years. It's just how I live. Again, I can't speak for any other man, but this is how I live. And I've had a relationship with them for several years now. And I'm very confident in it. Things could change, of course. But until then, I'm riding with them, and I have no worries or concerns. But any developments that happen, and all that happen, I should say, I can definitely bring them to you. In the meantime, worry about what you can control. And I say that because most of you do not protect what you do have. You leave it on whatever exchange you bought it on, and that's it. And at any given time, you could lose everything that you have because you didn't protect it from guys like this. And if he's to get a hold of your money, what do you expect to happen? I mean, it's gone. That's it. There's no give it back. It's over. I mean, you charge it to the game. The only way to protect yourself from that, and there's actually only one way I'm going to share with you. And that one way is to buy and hold and keep your very own cold storage wallet. Now, as a matter of fact, we're looking at our store right here, and we've been partnered with both of these guys for quite some time. They're the leading manufacturers in the world at protecting our assets, both of them. And it's just really about which one you like best. That's all it really comes down to. Look, we've got on the right the Ledger, on the left Trezor. So many different models to choose from. Touch screen, the basic models, they all do the exact same thing. And that, of course, is to secure and protect our crypto. And ultimately, that's all that matters. Now, I'm going to leave the store in the description. You can go ahead, check it out. There's so much here that I'll put in here for all of you. Look at this. I mean, it's also a tutorial. Let me show you something. Look at this. Wait, here we go. Hot versus cold. So actually, just by going in here, you're going to learn as well. So get in there, check it out, and become even more educated than you already are. Now, if this video has been of value to you, if you've learned anything from listening to me and watching, and show your appreciation and your support by contributing back to the channel. And the biggest way you can do so, of course, is financially. You can do so with any stable coin built on any network that is serviced through MetaMask. What it does is it helps us to continue creating life-changing, and in this case, life-saving content. We are one of the most valuable channels on the internet, and we just proved it again. Until next time, get in there and make it happen.